is constructed with three parts. Anybody can help me? What are the three parts? Go ahead.
The strings.
The string, you mean the straps, yeah? The straps, that's correct.
The leather box and the suitcase.
Excellent. So, being constructed with the straps, the housing, the box, which is leather box, and the parchment inside these boxes. These are leather boxes, yeah? Let's talk a little about the straps first. The straps come in packages of about 150 yards long strap. This was cut from a package of continuous 150 yards long strap. And my question is, what kind of animal is it? It's 150 yards strap long. Anybody know what kind of animal? Go ahead.
A cow.
A cow.
Cow.
How long is a cow? What's the length of a cow? About? 6 feet?
Yeah.
So how do you get? Yes. That's correct. So you take a piece of the skin of a cow, yeah, let's say a yard and a half, and you cut all along the perimeters, etc., 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 until you finish, you get 100 to 150 yard long strap. The only problem is it's curved. Yeah? So when I grew up, when I got my straps for Tefillin, they were curved on this side, they were curved on this side. Today, there are machines that make this curved strap into one straight, long strap, like I said, 100, 150 yards. And from this, you cut pieces, whatever you need. Usually, straps for Tefillin about 2.5 meters, about 2.5 yards, 7.5 yards, 3 yards for the sherosh, and 4.5 yards for the sheliach. Sheliach is longer, okay? That's the end of straps. There are different qualities on straps. There is machine made, there is the handmade, with hidurim, with stringencies, etc., etc. Yeah? There are very popular small tefillin. They are called pisponim, and for them they made special straps which are thinner. They can go in, whatever. So there are different kind of straps, and with this we end with the straps. The next item you're going to talk about is the batim, the black boxes. Before they become black, they were natural skin color. This comes from a neck of a cow or an ox. For one neck of a cow, you can make one tefillin shel rosh or two sheliach. Yeah? So if you want to have 2 pairs of tefillin, how many cows you need? How many cows? Each one can make either one shel rosh or 2 sheliach. So if you have how many cows to make 2 pairs of tefillin? Anybody? 3. Rosh, and 2 sheliach. The shel rosh starts as a T. This over here was wide, and when you form the compartment, the shel rosh, it stretches back and becomes straight, just like this. That's the next stage. Then the next stage is making this round into square. This is perfected, and that's finished already. They all look like they're all together here, like glued together, but they have to be separate. Okay? So these 4 compartments separated, okay? And that's the end of the shorosh.
Can you show the inside where the...
Inside is the 4 compartments to put the 4, I'll talk about it in a second, the 4 parchments, okay? The shorosh has 4 compartments, and the shelyad, 1, okay? Next we'll speak about the parchments, okay? I just want to talk about the idea of a sofer writing the parchment. The pieces of parchment, they have no kedusha, there's no holiness in them, yeah? So too the quill has no holiness to it. So too the ink that is being used, there's no kedusha to it. Comes the sofer and writes with a quill, which is made from a goose feather, yeah? He writes psukim from the Torah. This parchment becomes now Tashmishei Kedusha, the highest level of holiness. This is something called Tashmishei Mitzvah, Tzitzit, Shofar, Lulav, Tashmishei Mitzvah. Once you finish using them, they don't have any more Kedusha. Not so Mezuzot, Tefillin, and Sifrei Torah. Once the sofer wrote with the name of God, then he writes L'Shem Kedushat Hashem. He writes a Mezuzah, L'Shem Kedushat Mezuzah. Yeah? Once he did it, this mundane parchment, ink, and quill elevates this writing into Tashmishei Kedusha. You're not allowed anymore to dispose them. You have to bury them in case they are possible, etc., etc. So just showing how a person can elevate mundane thing into higher level of Kedusha. Now, these are the parchments inside the tefillin. It comes from a skin usually of a calf. This is the skin which this is being used. I'm going to pass it through. This is before removing the hair. How the hair is being removed? The hair is being removed by putting the leather into lime vats. Lime vats burn the hair and closes all the cavities or holes in the skin. It becomes smooth that you can write after. Now this parchments, parshiot, 4 are short and 1 is long. Yeah? The long one has 4 paragraphs, each paragraph equal to one of these paragraphs. Okay, so you have 4 parshiyot which are Kadesh, Vayak, V'yecha, Shema, V'yayim, Shamoah. Why specifically these 4 paragraphs on the Chumash? Anybody has an idea why we pick this particular 4 paragraphs, the Shema, the V'yayim, Shamoah, we say every day, yeah? Why these particular paragraphs we, yes?
Because it tells us the punishment that Hashem will give us if we don't follow His rules.
Because it's what?
It's Hashem's punishments for us.
Hashem?
His punishments.
Okay, but there are many other psukim that are the same idea. Why we pick specifically those? The answer is these four paragraphs contain the commandment to put tefillin. Each one of these paragraphs. So in Shema Vayu Letotafot Ben Einecha, so because of this fact that each one of these paragraphs contains the commandment to put tefillin, this was in the tefillin. I'm going to speak now. Basically, we know the parts. Anybody has questions still so far on what we learned till now? It'll be a test. Anybody has questions? No? No questions. Okay. I'm going to speak now about the ideas behind tefillin. When God created the world, He created it in a specific shape. Think about the moon, sun, earth, veins. What shape is it? What are the shapes that God created? Anybody?
Sphere.
What?
A sphere.
Sphere? Sphere or round? Right? A bark of a tree. Okay, they're all round. Man-made items are made usually
Straight and like
rectangular.
box.
Correct. With corners. Think about your computer. Think about bricks, your rooms, etc. The wood, the tree, comes round. What we make from it, 2x4s. Yeah? So man-made is with corners. And that's what tefillin are representing. Tefillin represent our mission to perfect what God created. Okay? That's why the shape of the tefillin is not round, but rather with corners. As a matter of fact, it has to be a perfect square. Yeah? L'taken olam b'malchut shakar. Our mission is to perfect the world that God created. And the question is, how do we perfect? With what? So I'm going to ask, well, that's you. What's your name? You can swallow. What's your name? When you're ready. Yoshua. Yoshua, how many senses do we have? 5 senses. Very good, Yoshua. Can you tell me what are the senses?
Things, sight, touch, taste, sight, there is here and there is see,
And taste.
taste,
So we have touch, hear, see, smell, and taste. Okay, out of these 5, how many are in the head?
4.
4. So how many in the head?
1.
What? How many in the head? 4. How many in the hand? 1 compartment versus 4 compartments. So the tefillin represents with what do we perfect the world that God created? With all our senses. As a matter of fact, before putting on tefillin, is a prayer that some people say, and the prayer says that I direct all my senses towards you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? So it's in a square, or rectangle, or corners representing that we perfect the world with what? With our senses. What's going to be our guideline? how do we know what to do exactly? So, if you look on the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, the last Chumash is called what? Anybody what's the last Chumash?
Right.
Dvarim. Dvarim, very good. It's another word for Sefer Dvarim. Anybody know what's the other word or description of Sefer Dvarim? It's called Mishneh. Mishneh? Mishneh Torah. Very good. Mishneh Torah. What Mishneh Torah means?
It like repeats the whole story of the Torah.
Excellent. Excellent. Sefer Dvarim repeats what's in the other four Chumashim. Yeah? If you look at the Parshiyos, the Sheliad is four Parshiyot, four paragraphs. The Sheliad repeats what's in the other four. So the Tefillin represents the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. It's constructed in the same way the Chamisha Chumshei Torah are constructed. 4 plus 1 repeating the other 4. 4 plus 1 repeating the other 4. So, we are on this world on a mission to perfect the world that God created. That's what Tefillin square. With what? With all our senses. And what our guideline? Our guideline is Chamisha Chumshei Torah. With this, I finish my presentation. I'm ready to hear some questions. Anybody has any questions? Yes.
How long does it take to make one pair of tefillin?
Okay. How long does it take to make one pair of tefillin? Straps, yeah, do not take that long because these, once you have the cow, when you paint black the piece of skin, and you have 150 yards of strap, which is good for the 20 pairs of tefillin. Yeah. So the strap doesn't take long. Making the batting takes about a year. It's not you work on the batting consecutively for 24 hours for 365 days. It's in order to make from flat to this, you have to wet. This whole thing is wet, and then you start to form the compartments. Because if it will be dry, when you push it, you make a hole. Okay, so you have to do it in stages. So it takes a year to get from this to this to this to this to this. Okay, that's about the batik. The parchments, it depends on the sofrim. Some sofrim write fast. Some sofrim are very slow but perfectionists in how they write. Those who write with perfection make less money, even though they say much more money. They make much less money than those who write fast, because by the time he writes 1, he writes 5. Yeah? So it takes a week or 2 weeks, depends on Holy Sefer, to write all the parchments. Okay? Any other questions? You got an answer for your question? Yeah? Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Do these have to come from a cow that was slaughtered for like a kosher way for
It has to come from a kosher animal, but it does not have to be shechted. Okay? So you can go to Argentina, to a slaughterhouse or non-kosher cows, and you can use them for tefillin. They don't have to be shechted. Okay? As long as it's a kosher animal. Okay? And you, yes,
Is there such thing like an error in the writing, or will they just completely redo?
say it again?
If somebody makes they write something wrong, do they just have to completely redo the scroll?
The scroll,
Like if they write a wrong letter, will they just have to completely redo it?
okay. So the question is, I wrote a scroll, I wrote Shema Israel, I check now what I wrote, and I see Shema Yisrael. In Israel, I forgot to write the Yud. Yeah? So I'm going to put the Yud, and it's going to be kosher. No, it's not going to be kosher. Why? Because in Mezuzah and Tefillin, you have to write in consecutive order. So, if you forget a letter, you have to erase everything after and rewrite from this letter on. Because if you write the Yud after you finish, it's not in order. You finish and now you write something in the middle. This Yud has to be written after Shema and before Israel. Okay? So therefore, it's not only you forget a letter. Let's say you wrote a letter. You wrote STaM Yisrael, you wrote the Yud a little bit long. Now it looks like a Vav. Yeah? It will be possible. And you cannot erase the bottom, now I have Yud. Yeah? Okay. So it has to be consecutive order in mezuzot and Tefillin. Sifrei Torah, this law does not apply, because if this law would have applied to Sefer Torah, nobody would write a Sefer Torah. Okay? Because if you forget one letter, I have to write the whole thing. Okay? So it applies only to mezuzot and Tefillin. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yeah.
I know worn out straps have to go to shameless, right?
Yes.
Are there other mitzvot you could use worn out straps for? I couldn't think of any, but.
Yeah.
Could you use, is there another
Use for flat?
Yeah, that's sort of a mitzvah use.
Okay. There's a problem even to use it for a mitzvah. Because right now we touch in Shei Kedusha. And use it for touching Shei Mitzvah, you lower the level of the straps. So much so that if you have straps that you use for Rashi Tefillin, yeah, which is the accepted pair of Tefillin, and you want to use it for Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin, you cannot use it. Because Rabbeinu Tam is considered a lower level, even Tashim Mishek Kedusha, okay, it's not the accepted halachic standard. And therefore, you're not allowed to use it, so much so even Shel Rosh and Shel Yad. Yeah, Shel Rosh is considered higher level. You should not use Shel Rosh to the Shel Yad. You can use Shel Yad to the Shel Rosh because you're going higher. Okay? Any other questions? Yes?
How did the batim get from that color to black?
From that color to black?
To black.
Yes. Okay, so they are painted. They are painted with a special ink, special paint. What do I mean by special? If you remember 20, 30 years ago, the Tefillin paint, and the paint healed. Yeah? That's because the paint was not the right paint. The paint has to be absorbed by the skin. So you have to use a paint which is very liquidy. Yeah? So you don't use even once. It's painted a few times in order to become black. Yeah? So it's a special paint. The paint has to be kosher too. Mina mutar befira. What you're allowed to eat. Yeah? It has to be kosher. All the parts of tefillin, paint, ink, etc., all have to be made from kosher ingredients. So the paint, to paint this, we use a special paint which is, like I said, kosher, liquidy, and you paint then you sand, paint and sand, paint and sand, until you get this look of a nice pair of tefillin. Yes,
Does it have to be black, and if so, why?
it has to be black.
Does?
Yes. There are 10 halacha Moshe Sinai that comes down from Moshe Rabbeinu, that the tefillin should be square, they should have a sheen on the two sides, and one of them has to be black. Okay? If a strap the strap has to be black. What happens if I have a dot, a white dot in the middle of the black? At this point, between the white dot at the end and the white dot at the end is less than 1 centimeter, you will make it possible. You can repaint it black and it becomes kosher again, okay? That's why today some use straps which are black on both sides. The whole strap is dipped into black paint, so even if you have a scratch, it's still black and it's still kosher. Any more questions? Yes.
From the news that one said the shin, like they look different from, like certain shin, different shell rows, the shins look different, like a little
The
bit.
shin. There
One has 4, one has 3.
are two things about the shin. One, the right side shin has 3 heads, and the left side shin has 4 heads. The left side shin, if you look closely, then between the 4, you see 1, 2, 3. Yeah, between the 4 heads, you see 1, 2, 3, and this resembles the shin on the luchot which was engraved. So the shin was engraved into the luchot in between the other 4 places. The second thing which has to do with the shin, the formation of the shin itself. There are 3 customs on how to write shin. It's not only the shin, it's other letter too, but the shin is as a representation. We have Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and in Ashkenazi, the Ari. So if you look on the shin, on the left side, you see it looks like a vav. Yeah? If it looks like a vav, that's Ari. Okay? If it looks I don't know if you can see it, but the left side of the shin is looks like a zayin. The line comes down from the middle of the top. If it comes down from the middle of the top, that's a bit Yosef. That's Ashkenazi style. Yeah? For Ashkenazim, not Hasidic. The Ari is Hasidic. The Sephardi shin does not come to a point on the bottom. It has a line on the bottom, yeah? And then the 3 valves on top. So there's a kind of a base. Does not come to a point, but a slanted line with 3 valves on top. Okay? Any more questions?
Why does it have to be made from the neck?
Doesn't have to. Just the neck is the strongest skin for the animal. The best skin, but you want to use the best skin, so it should last lifetime. So that's why you use the neck. That's all. Okay? It's also thicker skin. Talking about this, I want to tell you something. You see, this is the thickness of the skin. Yeah? In the market, there are three types of tefillin. One is called pshutot, one is called dakot, and then is gasot. Pshutot are tefillin which are made from pieces of parchment. Pieces of parchment like this. Parchment like this. Okay, bigger pieces. If you glue them together, you form a tefillin. You have tefillin pshutot. Yeah? Tefillin must be for one piece of leather. Now, if I glue it together, is it considered one or not? It's not black and white. It's a machloket. Some will permit gluing together pieces of parchment and to make it a kosher tefillin. That's pshutot. The next level are tefillin which are called dakot. It's one piece of parchment, but parchment, not thick leather. One piece, 100% kosher. Problem is, we get a little bank on the dakot. It's out of. I got from my tefillin from Zayde tefillin dakot. I used them for a while, and after a while, the corner was rubbed off, and there was a hole because it was a thin skin. Yeah. 1912. 1912 was the sofer named Netanel Tefillinsky. That's his last name, Tefillinsky, because that was his profession, Tefillin. Netanel Tefillinsky, up until his time, Tefillin were only pshutot and dakot. And he came up with the idea to make tefillin from thick leather, gasot. In 1912, that's what Netanel Tefillinsky did. He was a super handy, was able to conform the tefillin. At that time, the sofer went to hunt for the skin to write, made the ink by himself, made the quill by himself, made the bati by himself. Everything was done by one sofer. Today, if you want tefillin, you get the bati from here, the ink from here, the quill from there, the giddim to sew from there. Everything is like today, like in every field. There is no general doctor practitioner. There's the eye doctor, this is etc. So, Netanel Tefillinsky made this tefillin. He made over his lifetime like 70 tefillin. Only 5 exist today. I happen to see one by somebody in Yerushalayim who has Mishpachat Ben David. They have this tefillin. They use it every day. What's amazing about this tefillin, that it was written in 1912, yeah? And the ink is still black like it was written today, yeah? He had the formula, whatever. So, the fact that you see tefillin today, gasot, it was not always like this. It's only in the last 100 years. Now today, almost everybody is using gasot, thick leather. Okay, yes?
If there's any damage to any part of the batim of the tefillin, to fix it?
Is the damage? Yeah. Okay, so that's one of the advantages of tefillin gasot, thick leather. So if, let's say, should happen chas v'shalom, but it fell on the table, and now the corner is in, yeah? There's no more corner. It's pasul, because it has to be square. Practically what's being done, the corner is being, you put a shmate, wet shmate on top, soften it, pull it, yeah? Then after you pull it, you file it all sides, and you have a perfect square again, okay? So it can be fixed. On gasot, this kind of problem can be fixed. Okay. Yes?
Why does like the leather look different? Because I saw a pair of film that somebody wore the whole time during the Holocaust, and it looked like it was thin, like leather, but it looks like it was like the cow skin, like that, and the table on the other side, like it.
Thin leather?
Yeah, but
Like I said, during Europe, they didn't have yet thick level. Only in the last, I would say, 50 years, the thick level tefillin became so popular that almost everybody used. There are many manufacturers. But during the Holocaust, 80, 90 years ago, in Europe they used Dakot. They didn't use ksav. Okay? So the bottom line, what you saw thin leather, that was the standard in Europe. Okay? They had small tefillin bishot Dakot, or the huge also Dakot, huge tefillin. Somebody gave me to check 2 weeks ago, tefillin, huge ones, unbelievable, beautiful parshias. Ink still black, was written 150 years ago. It's still black like was written today. In Russia, they had the formula to write tefillin that the darkness, the black, stays for a very long time. Okay? So this was one of these tefillin. Any more questions?
So if you buy a pair today, like we're gonna buy for our boys, gasot, from a good sofer, a lab sofer, is there anything that we should do or shouldn't do to make sure that they last a lifetime?
Okay. I won't tell you what to do, I'll tell you what not to do. Do not leave it in the car in the summer or the winter where it's extreme. Don't go through extremes. If you leave it in the house, normal on the table, and you take it to shul, it will last lifetime. Okay, what affects tefillin is extreme. Don't put it on the heater. Yeah, in the room. Don't you understand? But normal usage, nothing happens to them. Almost all problems, you should know. I checked 250,000 mezuzahs. Yeah? 16% not good.
60?
So when you look on the 16% which are not good,
16 or not.
and to find out what causes them to be bad. Yeah? So you look only on those which are possible, and you look one by one, you will find out that 96% of those 16% which are possible, 96% of them were never good. Okay, so unlike what people think, I'm going to check mezuzahs, maybe they become. If you once check your mezuzahs or tefillin properly, I'll underline properly 10 times, yeah? And they are good, the probability is very, very high that next time you're going to check, they'll be good. Because they are in the room between 62.25 and 71.5 degrees, no rain, no nothing, nothing happens to them. Outdoors sometimes will deteriorate faster. For sure, don't use clear cases outdoors, the sun will kill it, okay? But if you have a waterproof, normal case, they will last also a long time, okay? Any other questions?
You could answer his first,
Oh, go ahead.
What's the most expensive tefillin you can buy?
Most expensive tefillin
Most expensive thing you've ever heard of someone buy.
that you can buy?
Yeah.
So if you go to koshercraft.com, yeah, koshercraft.com, all the levels, they start at $1,000 and they go up to $5,400. So there is such a thing as perfection in the straps, perfection in the writing, perfection in the button. There are, it's like, I don't know, I'm not good in cars, but take a Chevrolet, you take a Infiniti, but you have, I don't know, Rolls Royce, whatever it is, the top of the line. There is such a thing in tefillin too, okay? Perfection in the writing is the most expensive part. To have somebody who every letter, every detail is perfect is very hard. Okay? Okay, I hope I answered your question.
Okay. Guys, before, last few minutes, what I'd like to do is just point out a few do's and don'ts that I see here, because I know the boys actually in this room. I have opinions. Thank you, Rabbi Gantz, so much. And by the way, can you say a few words about how to reach you and
Yeah, sure.
the website?
So, first, everyone knows, besides just sales of Tefillin and Mezuzahs and STaM, we actually put up a lot of educational material on our website. Right? Rabbi Gantz was pointing out a minute ago about these beautiful pairs of Russian Tefillin that we saw. So anything interesting that comes into our shop, we take pictures of, we detail, so that it's interesting to look at. It's interesting. There's a history to it, and then the halachas and minhagim that are about that. So on our website, if you check it out, there's a whole blog section. Anything that interesting that comes, we also have a WhatsApp community, which I'll share also with everybody later. And then if you want to purchase Tefillin, we have a website, koshercloth.com. We're going to leave our business cards and information.
Leave this card over there.
We're going to leave our information as well. And you can order straight on the website. You can reach out to WhatsApp if you have any questions. The way it works is, it's basically a system so that anyone can purchase in an easy way and understand what it is that they're purchasing. You start off by choosing your ksav. Are you Ashkenaz, Sephardi, or do you need Ari? And then from there we have, we sort by quality. There are clear pictures. We have detailed graphs and information if you want to learn more about the difference between the various qualities that we have. We have charts on the Ritzus, we have charts on the bottom, we have essays on the cloth, on the ink, everything. As Moshe said, there's different levels of quality on every different thing that goes into Tefillin and Mezuzahs and Sifrei Torah. So we try to make it as transparent as possible. And if that's not enough, you can always feel free to reach us out on WhatsApp. We'll pass out our cards at the end, and Rabbi Moskowitz has our information as well. It's on koshercloth.com, and we'd be happy to give you even more information. With every purchase of a pair of Tefillin, we're going to print out also and give a copy of what the actual parshiot looks like. And we're going to give out a card like this, where it's basically going to give you all the details that are inside your tefillin. Same thing, by the way, if you come and check your tefillin with us, we're not just going to say kosher or not kosher. We're going to tell you the ksav. We're going to tell you a little about the bottom. We're going to tell you about everything, all its various components.
Okay, so when I daven in the morning, so here's some things and some do's and maybe some don'ts. So I'm not going to put on a tallis right now because most of you, I think, are not putting on. Anybody wear a tallis here? No. Okay. So if you wear a tallis, right? So tallis would come first. How come? What did we learn? Why would I put on tallis first?
You wear more. You wear on Shabbos and you don't wear.
So that's called tadir. Good. Also because of Malim the Kodesh Shvin Marit, right? So we're going to go from lower up. And by the way, the mention before about the idea of Keniza and what it requires and the straps. The tefillin bag also, because it services and it houses a davar shebekdusha, also requires Keniza. You can't throw this out. You can't use this as a change purse. Okay, this is something which holds the davar shebekdusha and therefore also requires Keniza as well. Okay, so my left side will have my shal yad. So when you come in, so first of all, once you put in your tefillin, you should be focused. We're not talking to your friend about the Knicks last night, right? So you're supposed to now be focused on doing a mitzvah. So you're going to roll up your sleeve, right, and get ready. And I'll point out some common mistakes that the kids are making. And I'm going to talk through the process. But one of the biggest problems is that you can't talk through the process. The time that you put on your tefillin, you're engaged in the mitzvah. It happens to be in machlokes between Ashkenaz and Sephardi, between the Ramah and the Paskin versus the Shulchan Aruch. It's possibly 2 or 1 mitzvah. And if you speak in the middle of a Sichas Chulin, something which is unrelated, you would actually have to make the bracha over again, making the first bracha a bracha levatala. And I frequently see kids put on their shal yad, and they're hanging out, talking to their friends before they put on their shal rosh. You really would have to start the process again and make a new bracha. So from the beginning to the end of the process, from the time you put on your shal yad to the time you put on your shal rosh, there's no conversation whatsoever that's unrelated to the mitzvah. Okay, so take out our tefillin. Number 1, you want to work over a surface, over a table. We're not over here. God forbid it falls, it should only hit a table. That's first of all. So when we do this, so in my tefillin over here, you see this cap? When you look at the floor in your minyan, you're going to find 2 or 3 of these every single day. Now the reason we have this is because we want to make sure that the tefillin stay sharp with the edges properly, and this will prevent that from happening. This will keep it solid. So the problem is sometimes that they slip off. If they slip off, they come to someone like Rabbi Moskowitz, who went to Michael's and picked up little tiny pieces of felt, which is the quickest fix. And I take one of these pieces of felt and I stick it on the inside of the box, thereby occupying some of the space, and that gives it more of a snug fit, and that won't be a problem anymore. So we put this on now. My tefillin right now, so this is a little bit weird. I'm Ashkenaz, but I wrap out away from the body. I don't wrap towards the body. Who here wraps out? Most of you wrap in. Okay. So to be able to wrap out, so I'm going to put on tefillin over here, and I'm going to close the gap. This is a slip knot, right? So we're looking to put the tefillin. Now, this initial placement, if it's not done right, will look weird and wonky when you finish. So we want it to be facing our heart, correct? So we don't want to make it facing our heart right now, and we don't want it out over here. We want it directly on the bicep. It actually should be in the middle of the bicep towards the elbow. So one of the problems is you guys very often, I see kids, they make a muscle and they tie it on. So if you make a muscle when you first put it on, what happens is that when you drop your arm isn't flexed, now there's a lot more room and it begins to slip out of place. So you want to do this when your arm is straight. Okay? So like this, your arm is straight, you tie it down, and right as you're about to tie the knot, that's when the bracha comes. Asher kedushanim tzavtzavanu lahaniach tefillin, and then tighten. Now because I'm wrapping away, the knot's going to be over here, and I'm going to go like this, away, and that's going to tighten it down. I'm going to come around like this, and begin the process. So again, when I normally do this, over here, I tie it down, and now it's going to be facing up, away. But when my arm falls down, naturally your hand always goes like this toward the body, and then the tefillin turns towards the heart. You see that? Mm-hmm. So it's facing directly up, the ceiling. And when my arm comes down, the tefillin will wind up facing your heart. So some people put an extra strap over here. I don't necessarily. I'm going to start our 7 straps, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'll stop my yad. Now they should be at least 1 finger breadth apart. So this, some people actually put up an 1/8. So here I have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, from either way you look at it. Either from here or from there. Now, but I'm going to make, this is the first leg of my shin. So really now, however, I'm just wrapping around my hand. And I'm not doing the shel yad. But I'm going to take up my tefillin shel rosh now and put it on. And when I put it on, by the way, it will take some time. At first it's going to be very, very tight. Your fingers are going to get blue, okay? If your fingers are cold and they're blue, it's a sign it's a little bit too tight. Okay? Line up, okay? We don't want anybody going to the hospital. So over here, I literally saw a couple days ago a kid go like this, and he left it hanging. This is not the way to handle tefillin. Okay? We don't leave tefillin hanging ever. It's in our hand. We're holding it all the time. Okay? So holding the shel rosh, we're going to put it over here like this and situate it so that the knot goes into the base of my skull. And then right before I'm ready to tie it tight, that's how I'm going to make my bracha, right? Al mitzvahs tefillin, and I tie it down. Now here's a big issue, okay? Number one, it's going to go to the back, right behind the base of the skull. I tie it down over here. We make sure that the yarmulke or the clips are not in between the tefillin strap and my head, which I see a lot. Can't be a chatzitza, a break. Nothing can be in between, over here or here. Now, by the way, the chatzitza really shouldn't be anywhere. But halachically, the worst is if it's over here between the actual bias and the skin. So if you had a cast, you would go right over the cast. If the cast, however, is up to my shoulder, I have a real problem. It's a real halachic question whether you can put it on. Certainly not to make a bracha on this arm at all. Whether you should go to the bracha, that's a whole separate issue. But I'm going to make the bracha over here, right? Now, many, many kids, I find, have the tefillin coming down over here. This is a real problem. Beinei necha is the position between my eyes, but on my forehead, and the bottom of the box comes to the top of the edge of the hairline. Not this part by the hairline, but the bottom of it. So when kids very often wear it over here, it's really a problem because the tzedukim, people who took the Torah very, very literally, right? They don't believe in Torah Shema Peh. They thought Beni Necha is mamash over here. So if you put it back, if it begins to slip down your face, you look like you're Taduki, that's really a halachic issue. So it should be, if anything, a little bit too high. It shouldn't go past the middle of the head. Now, why do so many kids have this problem? It's not sized correctly when you first buy them. Part of that could be something as simple as the following. You go ahead and you size them when you are on your trip to Israel. And your hair is a mop. And then before you Bar Mitzvah, you got a big haircut, a crew cut. And now there's a lot less thickness to your head. So when you first wrapped it around your head, it took up a lot more space. Then you get a thin haircut, and now you have an extra inch or so, and it's slipping down to your nose. And Rabbi Moskowitz doesn't know how to make that knot. I asked for professional development. They asked, like, what do you want to know? I said, I want to know how to change the knot of the felt, because I don't know how, and I'm going to ruin it, and I'm afraid to touch it. So, therefore, let's make sure we size it correctly. It should fit snugly. Okay, it goes around over here into place. And I have my shul yad into place. Yes?
If you had a cast like up to your shoulder on your arm, it wouldn't be a problem about like putting the tefillin on, because
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Could it be your weaker hand? You put it on the other arm.
Right, so that's the problem. Is it yakea? Is that ma'akiv or not? And what if you're a gidem, and if you only have one arm, and it happens to be that you only have your dominant arm, which of course I guess it's dominant ones only have one anyways, but it happens to be that your left arm was blown off, God forbid, or cut off, or whatever happened. So do you still make it with the bracha on the other side as well? It's a whole big machlokes. Therefore, if you have a cast, most people get a cast on their hand or on over here. So that's not a halachic problem. It's not as big a problem over here. But even though I said that, you should not be going over, and I don't know why people are very comfortable saying this. Yeah, my watch is not a problem. I asked my rabbi. That's not true. You should take your watch off, and you should put your tefillin directly on your skin. There's no reason to have your watch in between it. Take it off. But if you did so, it wouldn't be ma'akiv. Even if you had a bandage or a band-aid, not a problem. But if, for example, you had a cut over here and a band-aid, that's a problem. This is supposed to be coming into direct contact with the skin. Now, once I have this in place, and my tefillin black facing out, not like this, but facing black out. So now I'm going to go back to making my, and there's feet from the hugm over here. I don't even think about it when I do it, but I'm coming over here first leg, and now I'm going to start over here, first two. The top will be a yud. I'm coming down across. Second leg of the shin, and right down the middle is my last leg. So you see a shin, there's a dalet, there's a yud. Okay, so therefore you have Hashem's name over there, and then at the very end of this, when I finish, I tuck it underneath in my hand, so it stays put. Now, I find very often kids are spending an enormous amount of time on their tefillin, checking it 50,000 times. When you get up to Shemayim, there's a list of questions that you're going to be asked. Were you kavei to Torah? Did you deal honestly in business? Did you vote Republican or Democrat? But were your tefillin strapped straight is not on that list. And once you have this in place, the ikra now is to sit and focus on davening. Not to keep on playing with it and obsessing about it. So if it moves out of place, fine, you'll make a change. But if you find yourself past Ashrei, that we're past Ashrei and you haven't started davening yet because you're fussing with your tefillin, number one, come earlier. This process takes a few minutes, especially when you're your age, it takes a few minutes. So you can't get to minyan 5 minutes late, then play with your tefillin, and then walk into daven and you're barely catching Baruch Hu. You should be there, respect the fact that you have a mitzvah to do, show up a few minutes early because it takes a few minutes. For adults who've been doing it for years, it goes very, very quickly, but for you guys, it will take you a few more minutes. And then after that, let's leave it and focus on davening and having kavanah. And because you're doing a mitzvah right now and having a davar shebekdusha on your body, your mind should be focused on the mitzvah, not on secular things. So it's important to keep that in mind, that frame of mind that you have. Now, let's say, for example, I have to go to the bathroom. So number one, that's why I start off in the morning in halacha, looking for Shabruta. You go to the bathroom in the morning. If I was going on a long bus ride, I would go to the bathroom before I got on it, because I can't go on the bus. So if I'm going to be entering into davening, I don't just wing that. I get up in the morning. I make sure to check myself if I'm an adult. Do I have to go to the bathroom? Because I'm going to be sitting for 30, 40 minutes davening. I shouldn't have to go. Now, let's say something happens and you really feel that you have to go. So now there's a mitzvah. So if they're about to shachtu, you have to go to the bathroom. You're not supposed to hold it in and suffer like that. You're supposed to go. But I have to go and take off my tefillin right now. And when I take off my tefillin, I very often see guys take it off and just leave it on the table. We never, ever, ever leave the bottom exposed. So if I'm going to take off my tefillin, and by the way, when I take off my tefillin, I often undo my hand. By the way, I undo this also, or it's a good idea to, if you're going to do hagba, you might want to undo your tefillin shell yad, because it might be difficult for you to grip the bowl. That's a whole separate conversation. That's a thing to over there to practice agua. So I take off my shel rosh first. Shel rosh comes off. Now, if I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'm not going to wrap them. I'm just going to cover them now. But I'm going to leave them over here, not at the edge of the table, which I often see, or with the straps hanging off. Because anybody walks by and kick this, and this thing is about to fly off. And all different minhagim about whether you're going to fast or whether you're going to give tzedakah and so on and so forth, depending on your local shul rabbi. So we'll take off our tefillin shel yad as well. Now, am I going to make a bracha when I come back or not?
No. No. Yes.
What's your choices?
Yes.
No. The answer is yes. Talis, no. Tefillin, yes. So my tefillin, I can't wear it in the bathroom. The talis you can wear in the bathroom. We're knowing not to wear a talis because we don't want the straps to hit the floor. But we all wear talis cuts in the bathroom. Right? So a talis, you don't really have to be mafsik completely. But tefillin can't even be there. So when you come back, you made a full hefsek. You should make a hefsek for going to the bathroom. And you should, by the way, it makes a difference which bias you're using, right? Because we have the yud over here hanging off the end of the tefillin shel yad. It's got to be the bias which has the cut over here. Okay? So we're going to come back and make a bracha. And we're going to put them away. So when we put them away, I want to put the tefillin shel yad on the left side. So I have over here my yad. Now, there's no real rule about this. And again, kids get obsessed. And the leather will get softer and it gets easier. So you'll just wind it till you're halfway through. It's probably going to be anywhere between 6 and 8 revolutions just to get you through one side of it. And you'll do the other side. But I've seen people who do it all on one side. It doesn't make a difference. There's no halakhic issue. It's just a little bit annoying if you don't do it, if the leather isn't worked in yet, it tends to keep on slipping off. And I just put it in, hands on the right side, and then you have the shel rosh. This folds this way, and then this way. And now we use the individual sides to hold them down. See? So I just do this till the end, crossover, right? And then I use this strap to pull that little piece down. Same thing. And it's going to go safely in here. Okay, to wrap this up. So that's basically, and again, you'll wind up seeing some marks on your skin. That's normal. Your skin will go back to normal. It's not such a big deal. But it's important to be focused on this mitzvah as we're doing something very, very serious. Okay, now a couple of other things that I think you should know about. We mentioned, again, in terms of, let's say, safety for the thing, again, you should have a tile or something to locate the tefillin no matter what happens. Your name should be in it, and I have over here something with both of these have my name, address, and phone number. Nobody knows who Shmuel Rabbi Moskowitz is. No one's going to know your Hebrew name. So I highly recommend that you make sure to always have that. You want to have your name, your number in there because it's very, very expensive. It's a lot of stress, etc. Okay. A couple of things I just wanted to mention before we... Oh, going to the bathroom with tefillin. Can I take this in the bathroom or not? Yes, I can. Because the halacha is kis betoch kis, a pocket and a pocket. So I have my tefillin inside that little tefillin zekel, that little bag, right? That little bag is inside this bag is inside this bag. I have 3 levels over here. I could. Now, most people probably won't. But there's not a problem with my walking tefillin even with this. Certainly if I have it in my knapsack, I don't have to stop for going to the bathroom, take out my tefillin, leave it outside, and then walk inside. Because very often you'll be traveling, especially if you don't have a talis and you have, let's say, like tefillin canister, etc., a small one of these, and you're walking around with this. There's no problem if you have this in your bag. In the bathroom, you don't have to worry about taking it out. This is already in a kis b'tov kis. It's not a halakhic problem. Okay. Those are the things. I thought we did that already. Fine. Okay. Check. How often? How often you check tefillin? Rabbi, twice in 7 years, you suggest?
Good question.
How often do we check tefillin?
How often you check tefillin?
So twice in 7 years.
It depends who you ask.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Shulchan Aruch says you never have to check.
Because there's a chazaka of kashrus, their favorite place.
500 years ago, there's Shulchan Aruch. Aruch HaShulchan, about 150 years ago, says you should check every 3.5 years. Wait a second. Shulchan Aruch says, we never have to check. What are you telling me now? 2.5 years. Says Aruch HaShulchan, at the time of the Shulchan Aruch, used to wear tefillin all day. When you wear tefillin all day, that's exactly what you need. You need the air circulation. When you have the air circulation, then you don't even have to check it, because the air circulation keeps the ink intact. Today we don't wear it all day. We wear it only in the morning, and wear it for winter, whatever. Yeah. Therefore, says the Aruch HaShulchan, you should check it every 3.5 years. So much so, if you have a spare pair and a regular pair, which one you should check more often?
The regular.
Spare. Which one?
Spare.
The spare pair you should check more often, because it doesn't get the air circulation. You understand? You think the opposite, right? That's what I'm telling you. Something that you wear, but in reality, practically, I said before, you buy tefillin and you check it properly and underline properly, the probability they will stay kosher for a long time is very high. Don't keep it hot, but the clothes under normal circumstances, they will last a long time.
Just to prove this point, this happened to us in our local minyan. We were in on my block. We have a block minyan that we daven Friday night and Saturday night, and Shabbos we go to the bigger shul. So we have a Sefer Torah there because we daven every single Shabbos minyan there. So for years and years and years, we're only davening Rishon. Comes COVID, we're davening there a lot more often, and we found it was possible because other parts of the Torah never got air circulation. We really weren't rotating the Torah. We only saw very small parts of it, and because of that lack of rotation, lack of air, there were psulim that were developing, and or the ink got dry, began to crack, etc. And we weren't aware of it until we exposed it. So the more Torah is used, like you would think of it as wear and tear is worse, but when it comes to cloth and ink, it happens to be the opposite. So the case in point, we had the exact same thing happen as well.
I just want to point something interesting, that a little bit trivial. So you take Sefer Torah today. Somebody finished writing a Sefer Torah. I want to check how many mistakes are there. Then I will take Sefer Torah was written in the war 8 years ago, 9 years ago, and I want to check how many mistakes are there. Yeah. Now today, to check mistakes, you have a computer. We have today the tool called computer that will recognize the letters of the Sefer Torah, will scan the Sefer Torah, will tell you missing a letter, transposed letter, extra letter, etc. Okay? So I'm talking about now, not deterioration. I'm talking about the text. Yeah? Not the ink cable. Today, what percentage of Sefer Torah have mistakes? Answer, 92%. Now, you have to understand, when I say 92%, can be one letter missing. In 3 minutes, I fix it, it's kosher. Understand? But statistically, 92% of Sefer Torah checked with the computer have mistakes. Sefer Torah, which were written before the war, yeah, 40% mistakes. Concentration, no cell phones, yeah. So I just want to point out the difference. When you in today's society, we are busy, whatever. So again, it's correctable, but the bottom line, we have the tool called computer that can check. Computer check, found a mistake. Yeah, you give it to the software. And the software looked at the report, page 52, line 23. Vayomer, supposed to have a valve, missing a valve. The software went on and fixed the Vayomer, but the line below, he made a mistake. The line below, so now there are 2 mistakes in the Sefer Torah. The one the computer pointed out, the other one which the software fixed, which he was not supposed to fix. What I'm trying to say is, computers don't make mistakes, the human being make mistakes. And when I say a Sefer Torah, and I see a report, and I see what the software fixed, I go over to make sure the mistakes were corrected. And it happened to me not once and not twice, that I found mistakes in the correction. I'm just telling you practical stories, that's it.
I'll end with one last thing, which I don't really have an answer for, but it's an interesting case that happened. When I made this Think Torah, which is vinyl with Atzei Chaim, and I teach the kids to practice, not to go overboard, and to bend down, pick it up properly. So when I was making this, all of a sudden I started getting sweats about the fact that we have this concept called Ma'alin B'Kodesh Ve'in Moridin. This is also Tashmishi Kedusha. They also require Geniza. And I said, what am I doing? I'm having kids play with this. It was used to serve a Sefer Torah. Am I allowed to now use it for this kind of purpose? So I called her Nachman Kahana, one of my rebbeim when I was in Eretz Yisrael, actually Meir Kahan's brother. He's involved with Oz Mahadar, son-in-law, etc. And he said, yeah, of course it's not a problem. So I was like, okay, well, why? He goes, it's stored in the ground. I said, I know, but what's the header? I asked Herschel Schefter. I was visiting my son in yeshiva at Eretz Yisrael, and Herschel Schefter was there. And I explained to him what I do. He said, that's a fascinating thing to do. That's a great way to train kids to do this. I said, I know, but am I allowed to do this? Because I'm taking these 8 at the time that had actually been used to serve a Sefer Torah. And he said, yeah, no problem, 100%. And I was like, I know, but what's the heads? He goes, I'll get back to you. And he never did. I asked him a couple of times. It seems to me there's an innate clear, inarticulable feeling that teaching our children Torah and how to do these mitzvos is on the same par as when we're reading Torah. So I don't know if I can find that in my actual book or inside, but they both felt 100% that these Atzei Chaim would be better served rather than being in the ground to help kids learn how to do Hakba and appreciate that. So what I'm saying, so these concepts though are always in flux in how we treat these sorts of things and how we treat the Tashmish Kedusha we have. But again, remember you heard here different terminologies of Tashmish Kedusha, Tashmish Mitzvah. There's a difference. We might innately think that something which I use for mitzvah has a much higher sanctity. It's not true. We don't require Genisa for Lulav and Esther, right? We happen to not want to dispose of them in a healthy way. We try to recycle them into the mitzvah of burning our chametz, etc. But it's not a halachic requirement. But something which was used that has a Shem Hashem, anything which was supporting it, the table which it's on, all has to do with the Genisa. So you're now receiving something which is that level of sanctity, and if we have to treat it appropriately in the same level. Okay, we'll stop over here. Next week, remember guys, first of all, if you want to bring anything to me, make sure you bring it if you want to